Colombian Americans are Americans who trace their full or partial nationality or heritage to the South American nation of Colombia. They are the largest South American ethnic group in the United States. History: the first Colombians immigrants who settled in the United States likely arrived in the 1800s. However, the Colombian presence in United States would not be known with certainty since the federal census did not specify the country of origin for South Americans until 1960. These immigrants did not maintain any relation with their native countries, just until a few generations after, they identify themselves only as Americans. The first Colombian community formed after World War I, through the arrival of several hundred professionals that established themselves in New York City. Later on, more people were added to the community when Colombian students decided to stay in the U.S. after earning their degrees. Most immigrants settled in Jackson Heights, a middle-class neighborhood in the borough of Queens in New York City, that has good housing, schools and churches. The growth of the Colombian American population was slow until 1940, when there was an increase in Colombian immigration to New York. Post-World War II, most Colombians who arrived after the mid-1960s wanted to stay in the United States temporarily. Therefore, the number of Colombian undocumented immigrants increased, from 250,000 to 350,000 people in the mid-1970s. Despite a succession of immigration laws, the Colombian population in the United States continued to grow. New York remained the most popular destination. Smaller communities formed in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Houston, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. and in the 1970s, North Side, Chicago. Since the 1980s, many Colombians have settled in Miami. Initially they settled in Little Havana, the largest Cuban neighborhood, many of them engaged in the business of trade between Miami and Latin America. The area also attracted wealthy Colombians, who settled there to get medical care, send their children to school, and escape from social, economic, and political turmoil in Colombia. By 1987, Colombian Americans were one of the fastest-growing Hispanic groups in Miami. By the early 1990s, many Colombian Americans left the metropolitan centers for the suburbs due to crime and the high cost of urban living. This trend was probably started for the first time in the coastal towns of Connecticut and New York. Colombian communities grew significantly in places such as Stamford, Connecticut, Bergenline and Englewood, New Jersey, Jacksonville, Florida, and Skokie, Evanston, Arlington Heights and Park Ridge, Illinois. Despite the migration to other areas, the largest communities remained in New York City, Miami, and their environs. In 1990 and 1991, 43,891 Colombians were admitted to the United States, more than from any other South American country. They were for the first time the most populous group of undocumented immigrants in the U.S. from South America. Between 1992 and 1997, guerrilla activity in Colombia increased, so nearly 75,000 Colombians immigrated to the United States in this period, many of them going to California. Causes of migration. Economic problems and violence have led to an emigration of Colombians to the United States, particularly South Florida, Central Florida, New Jersey, Queens County and New York City, Philadelphia, the Washington, D.C. metro area, eastern Long Island, and an expanding community in California, Texas and Georgia, mainly in the Los Angeles, Houston and Atlanta areas. After World War I, many Colombians immigrated to United States in order to complete their education there, studying in the universities of this country. Most of them settled in New York. After the Civil War in 1948 and increased poverty in Colombia, many Colombians also emigrated to United States during the 1950s. In the 1960s, the economic crisis prompted the immigration of many Colombians to the United States, obtaining U.S. citizenship between 1960 and 1977. Since the 1980s, many Colombians American fled their urban cities to migrate to suburban areas in states like New Jersey and Connecticut, as their socio-economic status improved. The increase of the guerrillas in Colombia between 1992 and 1997 also boosted the Colombian emigration during this period. As was discussed earlier, about 75,000 Colombians immigrated at that time the United States, concentrating mostly in the state of California. Demographics, ethnic composition. Ethnically, Colombians are a diverse population including Colombians of indigenous ancestry, Afro-Colombians, and Colombians of European ancestry. However, the majority of Colombians are mestizo. In addition, Colombians of Middle Eastern descent, notably Syrian and Lebanese, and of East Asian descent, mostly Japanese and Chinese, also compose Colombian society. Until 1960, most Colombians emigrating to the United States were white or mestizos. Between this year and 1977, a period in which more than 116,000 Colombians emigrated to the United States, are becoming more ethnically diverse, representing the ethnic diversity of the population Colombian. So today, although most Colombian Americans are white and mestizos, there are also numerous Afro-Colombians in the Colombian American population, large communities. As of the 2000 census, 228,400 Colombians were living in the New York metro area and 169,271 Colombians were living in the Miami metropolitan area. The largest Colombian community lives in the South Florida area with a population of 138,768, and Jackson Heights in Queens County, New York City. In New York City, a large Colombian community thrives and continues to expand in size since the wave of immigration began in the 1970s. Jackson Heights in Queens County was heavily Colombian during the 1980s, but other immigrant groups have settled in the area, notably Mexicans. Many of the displaced Colombians have moved to adjacent areas such as Elmhurst, East Elmhurst, Corona, College Point and Flushing. Queens County still has the largest concentration of Colombians in the United States of any county. Top states with highest Colombian population. The 10 states with the largest population of Colombians were: the U.S. state with the smallest population of Colombians was Wyoming with 178 Colombian Americans. The 25 U.S. communities with the highest Colombia ancestry. The 25 U.S. communities with the highest percentage of people claiming Colombian ancestry are: Victory Gardens, New Jersey 15.27%, Dover, New Jersey 11.27%, The Hammocks, Florida 10.02%, Central Falls, Rhode Island 9.94%, Montauk, New York 9.53%, Doral, Florida 8.71%, Country Club, Florida 8.63%, Morristown, New Jersey 7.98%, Englewood, New Jersey 7.17%, Virginia Gardens, Florida 7.16%, Key Biscayne, Florida 7.07%, Elizabeth, New Jersey 6.46%, Kendale Lakes, Florida 6.36%, Weston, Florida 6.19%. Sunny Isles Beach, Florida 6.07%, West New York, New Jersey 5.82%, North Bergen, New Jersey 5.77%, both Fontainebleau, Florida and North Bay Village, Florida 5.29%, Guttenberg, New Jersey 5.28%, Richmond West, Florida 5.13%, Bay Harbor Islands, Florida 4.72%, Surfside, Florida 4.66%, Hillier Gardens, Florida 4.62%, Kendall, Florida 4.56%, Union City, New Jersey 4.53%. U.S. communities with the most residents born in Colombia. The top 25 U.S. communities with the most residents born in Colombia are: Victory Gardens, NJ 17.3%, Dover, New Jersey 14.3%, Virginia Gardens, Floor 12.00%, Kendall West, Florida 11.9%, The Hammocks, Florida 11.6%, Central Falls, Rhode Island 11.4%, Country Club, Florida 11.3%, Morristown, New Jersey 9.8%, Montauk, New York 9.0%, Broadview, Pompano Park, Floor 8.00%, Doral, Florida 8.6%, Englewood, New Jersey 8.3%, East Hampton North, NY 8.1%, Fort Evans, Massachusetts 8.0%, Key Biscayne, Florida 7.9%, Kendale Lakes, Florida 7.8%, Sunny Isles Beach, Florida 7.5%, Kendale Lakes, Lindgren Acres, Floor 7.00%, The Crossings, Florida 7.4%, Elizabeth, NJ 7.2%, North Bay Village, Florida 7.0%, Western Florida 6.7%, West New York, New Jersey 6.3%, Hillier Gardens, Florida 6.1%, Kendall, Florida 6.0%. Cultural traditions in the United States. Musical styles that are enjoyed by Colombian Americans include vallenato, salsa and cumbia. The majority of Colombians are Roman Catholic. Colombian food is varied due to the several distinct regions of Colombia. Popular dishes include bandeja paisa, sancocho, empanadas, pan de bono and pan de queso, and arepas. Colombian food is popular and well known in Queens County. The main pastime of Colombians in the United States is soccer, and most Colombian Americans raised in the United States continue to follow soccer. Another popular pastime, especially among the older generation, is Parqua Copyright S, a Colombian board game which is very similar to Parcheesi. Colombian Americans in professional sports, ice hockey, Scott Gomez, is currently a free agent in the NHL. Soccer, Juan Agudelo, currently plays for New England Revolution in Major League Soccer and for the United States national team. Alejandro Bedoya, currently plays for Helsingborgs in the Allsvenskan and for the United States national team. Wilman Cond, Jr. played in the MLS for the Chicago Fire in MLS. Carlos Lamosa, played in the MLS and for US at 2002 FIFA World Cup, currently retired, baseball. Lou Castro, Orlando Cabrera, Edgar Renteria, cycling, George Hincapie, Tour de France competitor, racing, Travis Pastrana, see also, List of Colombian Americans, references. External links, The Colombian American Coalition of Florida.